holidays are here in the nation's capital, and there's plenty of cheer to go around. Welcome to this edition of the Rink Report here at MetStar Capital's Iceplex in Arlington. He is Tarek El-Bashir. I am John Walton, and we have a whole lot of good stuff to get to, T, on this edition of the show. The Capitals, the number one team in the Eastern Conference as December opens, first place in the Metropolitan Division. They have scored 101 goals in 24 games, and as they look down on everybody else in the division, have had an unbelievable start to their season. The news coming from this very facility today, Alex Ovechkin was back on the ice today. It wasn't long, but he was out there.
Yeah, it was only about 5 minutes, but I mean, it's been 2 weeks since he suffered a fracture in his leg. I mean, we've known this for 20 years now. Like, he's just built different.
Yeah.
He's got a long way in front of to go in front of him. That said, the fact that he's on the ice after just 2 weeks tells me he's going to be on the front end of that 4 to 6 week prognosis. So, I don't know, maybe that Boston game before Christmas, maybe the Toronto game after Christmas, but it's going to be sooner than later, and he's still going to have a lot of time to track down number 99 on the back half of this season.
Sure looks like he's going to be back in this month anyway as the calendar switches over to December, and the Capitals are scoring goals at an unbelievable rate. 4.21 goals per contest.
Yeah.
The only team T in the NHL averaging more than 4 per game. They're getting it from everywhere,
right,
but they're really getting it from the defense right now.
Which is what really makes it feel sustainable, right? The fact that it's not one or two guys carrying the offense. The fact that Alex Ovechkin can leave the lineup and they score even more goals. I mean, we see that all the time, right? Star player goes out, everyone feels like they got to do a little bit more. You're not deferring to your star player. But the goals are coming in bunches. The defense is scoring. I looked up some numbers for you, John.
I love numbers.
12 games this season, over 5 goals per game, right?
Incredible.
I mean, that's incredible. That's the most in the league. That is, I believe, 12 times they've done that in 24 games. I mean, that's outrageous.
That's remarkable.
For a team that just a year ago had to scratch and claw for every single scoring chance, much less a goal, right? And to see the transformation in just 1 year has been nothing short of amazing. But, yeah, getting back to your point, the back end chipping in. I mean, they have more points than any other blue line in the NHL. John Carlson, 19 points. Jakob Chychrun, I mean, he's up there with he's got 8 goals. That's tied for the league lead among blue liners. And, I mean, what a trade-off. I mean, Nick Jensen, nice guy, good player. But
not scoring 8 goals in 20 games.
He's not scoring 8 goals or setting up teams or breaking the puck out with the efficiency that Chychrun does. And then let's not forget Rasmus Sandin has also taken a big step forward. Trevor Van Riemsdyk looks like the TVR from a couple of years ago. So, yeah, getting that secondary scoring from the blue line. Their job is to suppress shots and to keep the puck out of the net, right? But you need those guys to also chip in to driving offense and occasionally scoring goals.
The Jakob Chychrun stat that I think I like the best at this point, he becomes the 4th defenseman in Capitals history to score 8 goals in 20 games or less to start a season. Remember, he had a couple games he missed, so even the Caps have played 24. He's only gotten to, 19 at this point, and he scored 8 goals. The only other guys to do that, pretty good company. Kevin Hatcher,
all right,
Mike Green,
all right,
John Carlson.
All right.
That's the list.
That's a pretty good list.
50 years, that's the list. So to be able to get that kind of offense,
pay the man. It's just the price is just going up, John.
It's only going up from here. A contract here for him and coming in, and he certainly has been everything the Capitals would have hoped for. We're going to have Jakob joining us here on the show in just a little while. Overall offense for this team, since 1993, there are only 2 teams that have started the season with more goals. 95-96 Penguins, 05-06 Ottawa Senators. That's it. 101 goals in 24 games.
Ridiculous.
It is just the stark contrast to me between the team last year that couldn't put it in the ocean most of the time and were 30th, 31st in a league in goals.
That's cold but true.
And you were scrapping. If you didn't get a perfect defensive performance and a perfect goaltending performance, you probably weren't winning. Now, Charlie Lindgren was pretty much perfect down the stretch, and that's why they got in the playoffs. But now you can outscore a few mistakes. You're not going to score 4.5 goals a game down the stretch in March. But if you are still getting 3 and 4 goals a night,
a lot of room for error.
And you're going to win a lot of hockey games. And now suddenly what was at the beginning of the year. You know what I love, too, and I know you're a numbers guy, more than I am, and I admit. Money Puck, you know, you've got the graph, and so those of you have probably seen it. The graph on social where they give the percentages every day of, like, to make the playoffs or to make the first round, second round, which honestly is kind of crazy when you're talking about that in October and it's like, oh, they have a 0.8 chance of winning the Cup. Well, thanks for that. I mean, who knows, right? But I love the fact at the beginning of the season, the Capitals for the playoffs were only at 22%, which I thought that's low. I would say like at least 50, right? 60%. Right. Yeah. And now it's like 98.8% that they make the playoffs and like even 6% to win the Cup and all of that. It's a fluctuating number, but at least it tells you from a statistical standpoint what is going right with this team and how sustainable the analytics folks think that it is.
Absolutely. And getting back to what you were saying about the scoring, I mean, obviously the new guys, we just talked about Chychrun, those guys are chipping in big time. But I feel like maybe sometimes we underappreciate the guys who are already here who have taken these massive step forward this year. I mean, Dylan Strome, 34 points.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've joked about him being on pace for like 120.
May not be a joke anymore.
But he might get there. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You know, Connor McMichael, 14 goals. I mean, he scored 18 all of last year, and that was a good year.
What if he scores 35?
He might.
He might.
He might. And if you look at the process, right, he's got a really good release, a really good shot. He's one of the faster players in the team. But he has figured out where to go to find that open space right around the goal crease to score those goals. And that's how you go from 18 goals to 35 goals. And he figured it out, and he's embraced it, and he's taken this massive step forward, like I said. And then you also got Alexi Protas. I mean, he's chipping in offensively. So, you know, you take the new guys, you take the D stepping up, and then you take the internal improvement, and that's why we are seeing this team scoring at will almost on some nights, and also, you know, getting towards the top of the standings.
There will come a point, and the evidence that we got here today is that Alex Ovechkin certainly has made at least a stride forward, putting the skates on, getting on the ice. It wasn't for long, but just the fact that it happened at all is certainly remarkable.
Yep.
But from an opposing coach perspective, when he comes back and you say, okay, we're playing the Capitals tonight, here's what we have to defend. I have this really good top pair D to match up against Ovechkin and Strome and their line. Okay, I got that. Now I got to worry about McMichael and the offensive potential there. This is my whiteboard right here. And then you've got the man in the middle in Pierre-Luc Dubois. How do we defend? He's been great at both ends of the ice.
Yep.
He defends well. He protects pucks well.
Yep.
Now I got a third line where you've got a veteran centerman in Lars Eller that wins a lot of faceoffs. You've got the fourth line chipping in. And, oh, by the way, I got to worry about one of the best offensive defensemen in the game. We've talked about the defense and the scoring. Caps have scored more goals from blue liners than Colorado. There's a guy named Cale Makar that works there, as much as Edmonton at this point. They're getting it from everywhere. So I'm saying that when you defend against this team, you got to look in like 6 different places now.
It's pick your poison at even strength. But I think what really is setting this team apart and is what is giving me hope for maybe this is a special group is the power play has figured itself out. And the funny thing is they had started kind of figuring things out with Ovi. And then Ovi goes out of the lineup, and then, you know, a couple games of not so great. And now they've adjusted to scoring goals on the man advantage without number 8. And that, to me, is really heartening because you have to score on the power play to go deep in the postseason. I mean, we know how special teams play an outsized role in determining the outcome of playoff games. You don't get many of them, but you're going to get 2 or 3, but you better score on one. And if you score on that one, you have a good chance of winning that playoff game. So the fact that this is one of the better power plays over the past almost month. I mean, you go back to St. Louis. They went 2 for 2 against the Blues in St. Louis. Since then, the power play is almost 50%.
Yeah, almost 50%.
That's crazy.
Crazy, especially when you took number 8 out of the equation, and he was scoring goals seemingly at will at the time he got hurt in Utah. And the thing that really makes this team fun to watch, and it's fun to watch as any team in the NHL right now, their ability to break the puck out quickly, get going on the rush, get shots on the rush, score off the rush. They move fast. It was not that long ago where this team was like, okay, the aging core, oldest team in the league, they got to get faster, they got to get better.
They were the Penguins a year ago.
Right, and the Penguins still are the Penguins, last place, by the way. And the Capitals 2 years ago made that adjustment to say, look, It is time to switch. We have to make hard decisions here. Don't keep going out and signing veteran guys to keep the sun in the sky. You traded Hathaway, you traded Orlov, you got picks, you brought in Sandin, you got younger. You took a guy that said, okay, it didn't work for Sandin in Toronto. It didn't work for Dubois in a couple of places. You are looking for opportunities, and I feel this organization does that better than any team in the NHL, of bringing in guys to say, look, it didn't work there, but it can work here. And I think that's what we're seeing here right now.
I mean, and that's what we're talking about with Spencer Carberry. We were talking off camera a moment ago. I mean, is he in the running for the Jack Adams? I would say absolutely. I mean, right now he gets my vote.
Right now it's unanimous.
And that's not because I cover him, on a day-to-day basis. He deserves it. I mean, this is a team that turned over a third of its roster, brought in 7 new players, and it looks like this group has been together for 3 or 4 years. It really is amazing. But also, he was able to take those 7 players in, figure out what they do best, figure out where they fit into the puzzle, and he's got them at the top of the conference, of the division. And I think he's done one of the best coaching jobs that I have seen in my 20-plus years of covering this team, and this is only his 2nd year.
He's special, and this group is.
Maybe Scott Arniel is going to get some.
Scott Arniel's going to get some love, and should.
Yeah, Pete DeBoer doing a great job, but he's got a lot of firepower.
He had a good team anyway,
a lot of score.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and finally, my last point I want to make about Spencer. I mean, Alex Ovechkin's still a star player, but other than that, this team doesn't really have any superstars. I mean, are they going to have an all-star this year? Are they going to have any players on the Four Nations Cup? Maybe 1, maybe 2. I don't know. This is a team that has really good players, but the delta between their really good players and their bottom players isn't very big. It's very narrow, and that's what makes this team special, and that's what gives opposing coaches fits, right? Is, okay, if I shut down that line, I still got to shut down that line. And if we get them, Nick Dowd might light us up. Nick Dowd! Yeah. I mean, he's out there scoring goals like he's a second-line center.
He's had a nice start to his season. We're going to talk a little bit more about Four Nations because those rosters are going to be announced this week.
I got to calm down, John.
Listen, I'm fired up too. This is a lot of fun. Everything that's been going on around this team is good. A little while ago, we caught up with Jakob Chychrun to talk about his amazing start and how he's fit in here in Washington. Take a look. Well, happy to have Jakob Chychrun joining us here as the Caps getting ready for San Jose and another big week into December. You guys are in first place, and you've scored a lot of goals doing it. How much fun are you having right now?
Yeah, it's great. It's obviously a lot of fun when you're winning, as many games as we've been and playing hockey like we've been. I think, the boys have just been playing really well for one another and winning some big hockey games against some really good hockey clubs. So it's been a lot of fun for sure.
10 come from behind victories. I believe that leads the league. What is it about this group that lends itself to rallying?
I think it's just, I think a lot of people would say, character, and it's true. I mean, our leadership in our room and we just have such a great group of guys that battle hard for one another and support one another and love one another. I think, these guys are in here. We've all come together in such a short period of time with all the new additions this summer, and I think, you never really know how, for the most part, everybody in this league's a really good person, but you never know how personalities are going to mesh, and I think things have just meshed beautifully in this room for us, and guys are really embracing this, what we have going, and it's been a lot of fun, and taking it one day at a time to try to keep this thing going.
You mentioned a come-from-behind wins, but the fact you guys have won 7 straight on the road now, tying a franchise record. It seems like every time that you guys get on a plane, you're packing away 2 points. What goes into that?
I don't know. I think, there's a lot of maturity in our room, a lot of guys who've been around the league for a long time and have won. And it's always huge to have guys who have that experience. And, you lean on, that experience in moments where you're down on the road or whatever the case may be. So, we have guys who have been there and done that. And we try to follow their lead.
I got another what goes into that question for you. 70 points from the blue line. That's the most in the league. How are you guys doing it?
I think we got a heck of a decor. I think
good hockey players.
Yeah, really good hockey players. I think I know that the D-core numbers weren't great last season, but I think it was a group that was poised to bounce back regardless of the additions. I think it's, like I said, the group, the D-core we have here, everybody can play in all situations. So it's, I think it's just a credit to, I think the talent and the ability we have on our blue line.
The depth that this team has, especially at forward. You took out Alex Ovechkin 2 weeks ago, greatest goal scorer probably ever, and you guys have continued to win anyway by other guys stepping up. What have you seen from the forwards on this team filling in his absence?
Yeah, and it's been up and down the lineup, which is great to see. I think, contributions from a ton of different guys, and that's what you need when somebody like that goes down. So we're just trying to do the best we can to, fill those shoes until the big man gets back.
Power play the first month of the season, I was like, what is going on? This is not the same unit that, finished the season so strong last year, but then you guys turned it around. I mean, one of the best units in the league since the middle of last month. What's going into that?
I think, we've been trying to simplify a little bit. I think get more pucks through, create more lanes, from the shooters up top.
Okay.
And we obviously have Willie at the net front and Mikey, who's had an unbelievable, start to the year. And I think they're creating 2-on-1s down low. We're trying to get pucks down there for them. And, when you shoot more pucks and try to simplify a little bit, you recover those pucks, and the PKers are kind of, they're running around a little bit out of position. And then that's when your plays open up. So I think, starting off by simplifying and getting pucks through, and then from there wearing them down a little bit and making your plays. But it's been good. I think, we've been had some success and just got to keep it going, because it's obviously special teams such a big part of today's game.
Well, you've had no problem getting pucks through, 8 goals already on the season. Jake, we appreciate you joining us here. Thanks for coming up.
Thanks for having me, guys.
A great chat with Jakob Chychrun, and what a heater he's been on here as the Caps getting ready for San Jose and a couple of road games, Toronto and Montreal coming up this week. But we mentioned in the interview, the points that the D-men are getting, too. We talked a little bit before, but Trevor Van Riemsdyk has 11 assists.
Right.
You're getting contributions from a lot of different guys. It's not just John Carlson and Jakob Chychrun at the top.
Leading the league in terms of points from the blue line. Who would have thunk that after last year? And Chychrun had a great point. Last year, there were still some good hockey players here. They just weren't producing at the same level. Offensively, and let's be honest, no one on the team was producing at the right level offensively. It's just nice to see the new guys come in and adapt to a new, more aggressive system, and they're starting to fill up the net. And it's so important for that blue line to chip in, because, again, you and I have talked about this. When you get to the playoffs, and teams now have tape and they can now match and they know exactly what you do, you got to get that secondary scoring. And the teams that go deep get it from their third and the fourth lines and from their blue line.
Four Nations tournament is coming up in February, a little bit of an Olympic appetizer, if you will, head-on-head, country versus country, and the NHL going to stop for a couple of weeks.
You going?
The announcement for I am not going.
I
will talk to you from the beach.
I'd go to the Montreal portion of it.
You can go to the Montreal. They're going to be played in Montreal and in Boston. Those are cold weather cities. I'll be at the beach. He can tell you about it. But this is kind of interesting from Capsland, how many guys might get looks and who might be playing here in the middle of February for their country.
There have been a lot of decision makers from various teams that have been in Capital One Arena the past few weeks, keeping a very close eye on a number of Capitals players who are in the running. For me, LT, Logan Thompson, I think he's got a really good chance of making Team Canada. I look at probably Jordan Bennington is probably going to be the starter. But Logan's put together a really good year behind a really good Capitals team. I think he's going to get a decent chance. Tom Wilson, he brings something different. But you look at that Canada group, it's just so deep. It's so
tough to
deep.
make it as a forward for Canada.
You can be an all-star player and not make it because it's Canada, all right? It's the birthplace of hockey. But he does things that other guys don't do, and I think that might be one of those things. And for my money, I think John Carlson makes Team USA.
I was going to ask, does John Carlson make Team USA?
Absolutely, man. Does he give me the guy running the power play? Maybe, maybe not. But I think if you look at the American-born defenseman, he is, without a doubt, one of the top 6.
I hope he goes, and we can close the show with this because I really am kind of been on this bandwagon, and I think you are too. I think as he continues to pile up games, points, accolades in his career. He is right now a lock for the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame.
Oh, no
if he
doubt.
stopped playing today.
Yeah.
But I think that if he continues to go, I'm thinking back to, you got to go all the way back to 2010 here now, but golden goal for Team USA,
Yep.
Stanley Cup winner in 2018,
Yep.
one of the best two-way defensemen of his time in all situations, and now over 1,000 games, and no sign of slowing down. I don't know that I would say that he's there today, but let's say Four Nations that he ends up, Team USA wins and Carlson has something to do with it. He puts up points and he does again in international play, does it. What if he's on Team USA? If you do all right here, you got a chance to be in the Olympics next year. One more chance at the Olympics for John Carlson, possibly next year. If he does all of those things and contributes and continues, and, you know, from our lips to God's ears, and the Caps find a way to win another Stanley Cup here, if you're able to do all of those things, the case for Toronto and the Hockey Hall of Fame for John Carlson is really starting to build, I think.
The fact that he is still among the ice time leaders.
Yes.
At
Durability.
his age, at 34 years old. He missed a lot of time with that puck to the head, but that was the first real injury Carlson has sustained in his career, where he missed a lot of time. And for me, look, this is one of the best teams in the league. Spencer Carberry is not throwing John Carlson over the boards every other shift, every single game, if he is not performing at an incredibly high level. And the fact that he's been able to do that in back-to-back years at 34 years old not only speaks to his efficiency and hockey IQ, but just the fact that he's still one of the best players in this game.
And at an age where he can still go for a few more years, and who knows
no doubt
what his numbers may look by the time we get to the end. So San Jose tonight, the Caps going to take on Toronto and Montreal on the road this weekend. He is Tarek. I am John. Thank you for watching this edition of the Rink Report. We'll see you.